Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at part 4 of the Reading and Use of English paper in the Cambridge Advanced exam. Part 4 is the keyword transformation task, and it's a grammar task that will look at your knowledge of vocabulary and different structures. So what I'd like you to do first, so we can have a look at an example and look at some tips, is for you to download the PDF that's given in the link in the description below just here. We're looking at sample paper 2, so you need to turn to page 22 in the text. So once you've done that, come back and join me, and we're going to have a look at one example, and we'll talk about some tips and techniques that can take you through the rest of this task. Okay, so the keyword transformation exercise looks difficult, and for a lot of people it is, and it's where they lose a lot of points. But there are some things that you can do to really boost your chances. The first of those is to remember that you can only use between 3 and 6 words. And that includes articles, that includes contracted forms. So if you put don't in the gap, that's 2 words because it's the same as do not. So if you find an answer, and even if it's an answer that fits, but it's 7 or more words long, it's unfortunately the wrong answer for what we want. The second thing to remember is that in terms of the meaning, the 2 sentences must be identical. Don't leave any information out. If in the original sentence you find the name of a person and it's not given in the second sentence, you need to remember to transfer that across. So what are we looking at anyway? Well, we're looking for 2 changes for every sentence. This is why there are 2 points available. And with the 2 changes, you could be looking at a change from the active voice to the passive. That's, for example, the police arrested my friend, going to my friend was arrested by the police. You could be looking at the change from direct speech to reported. And in terms of vocabulary, you might be going from a single verb to a phrasal verb. So, for example, endure to put up with, something like that. So if we look at number 25 for our example, we're going to ignore the one that's given. We're going to see one of the ways in which you can make things a little bit easier for yourself. Now at the CAE level, at the C1 level, the sentences are going to look pretty complicated, and that's done on purpose. But there's one simple trick here that you can use to make it a lot easier to see what you need to change, and that's just to cross out the language that appears in both of the sentences. So for example, here we have, as long as you explain the process clearly at the conference, your boss will be pleased. And then here we've got much of that here again, so we can just cross out the process. At the conference, your boss will be pleased. So that leaves clearly just here, and as long as you explain. Now in the second sentence we start with the word if, and as long as is going to be the same as if. So that gives us the first part, so we need explain clearly. Now explain here is the verb, but here we've got the word give, which is also a verb. So if we have give and explain, something has to change. Well, we're going to change the verb here to a noun that can go with give. So we can put if you give. Now this is worth 1 point. This is one of the transformations. We've changed from you explain to you give. We've got this conditional structure replacing as long as. So if you get that part, that's already 1 point, just for writing these 2 words, and one of them is the key word that's given. Now we want clearly, you explain, and we give. So we want and then we change this, because this is an adverb, we want clear explanation. Sorry, I ran out of space a bit there. But a clear explanation, because explain changes to the noun, clearly the adverb changes to an adjective. We must remember the article. If we can get all of this, we'll get the 2 points. But you can see now what's going on. We're changing the forms of the language to give the same meaning but with different lexical items. and we're doing it within the limit. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, so we're inside that limit of up to 6. And there are 2 changes, and we get a point for each one that we get completely right. But I think this crossing out thing really helps, and you'll see when you do the examples that follow that sometimes the sentences look wildly complicated, but they're really not. So take a minute now, try the exercise, and when you're ready, come back and we'll run through the answers. Okay, so if we have a look at the next one then, number 26. And here the keyword is alleged. So we can cross out the words that are the same in both sentences. And we're changing here from they say that to alleged, which is a reported verb. So we're changing the order a bit. It's a visitor to the National Art Gallery. And we want is alleged. Now, this is a bit like is reported. And if it's in the past, we want to go perfect. So we have to have, and then what do we want? Damaged. And then we've got the 2 changes that we need. And then for 27, we have the keyword difference. I really don't mind is the only thing we need to change. The rest we can cross out in that sentence. So when you don't mind something, it makes no difference. So it really makes no difference to me. We need to have all that information. I don't mind, so it makes no difference to me. We have those 2 changes again. Now, another way of changing this that would work grammatically is it really doesn't make a difference to me. But if you add those words up, that comes to 7, and that's too many. So we need to keep to the rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're inside the 6-word limit. For number 28, we have without the help that Joe gave me. Now this is what I mentioned earlier about copying names across, even if it seems too obvious, too simple. Without the help, so we're talking about something that happened in the past. If we're going to change what happened in the past, we're going to go third conditional, an unreal conditional, and that puts it in past perfect. So if it had not been for Joe's help, and we have the rest of the sentence given to us. Now 29 is a classic example of why crossing out the words that are repeated will help you. Because look at the length of this. We can assure our customers that we will take every possible measure to maintain the quality of the products on our shelves. Massive sentence. If you cut out the words that are repeated, you're actually left with 4. Take every possible measure. That's it. And if you take every possible measure for 29, you do what it takes. That just leaves us with one more, number 30. And here we're going to have a change of voice. If you look at the second clause, the government withdrew its proposal. So we're taking that object, the proposal, we're making it the subject of a new sentence, the government's proposal. So it's going to be passive, so was withdrawn. Now we're changing the expression to be in light of. Now there are a few other possible options for some of these answers, so have a look at the answer key that follows after the rest of the reading section for the use of for the Cambridge Advanced exam. You'll find that about 6 pages away from here. Go through, just have a look, and you'll notice that they draw the line between the 2 changes so that you can see how many points you would get. But remember those tips. Look for the 2 changes, cross out the words you don't need, think about the possible changes that can be made. And there you go.